Hey everyone, it's Mark. This is my recap for Pokémon Horizons Episode 5, I Found You, Fuecoco. This was the 1237th episode of the Pokémon anime and another exciting chapter in the story of Pokémon Horizons. I feel like I say something like that every week, but that's just because Horizons has been really good so far. Let's talk about it. We pick things up with Roy running onto the beach in the middle of the night. He climbs aboard the Bravasagi where Liko is asleep, but her pendant is responding to Roy's Pokeball again. Captain Pikachu is responding to this intruder on the airship, and Roy ends up facing the consequences of boarding the airship without permission. The Rising Voltacklers all get out of bed, and does Freed really wear those goggles even when he's asleep? Anyways, Liko and Freed explain who Roy is to the others, and when Liko asks why Roy came here, Roy jumps up and says he had to see that face again. Liko gets super flustered, thinking Roy's talking about her, but nope, that's not it. Roy wants to see Fuecoco again, and Captain Pikachu is not impressed. His body language throughout this episode was on point. Okay, back to Roy, and he's talking about a Fuecoco again. Liko guesses that Roy must want to be Fuecoco's partner, and Roy is like, yeah, I think I do. Freed butts in though, saying that Fuecoco's feelings are important as well. Roy can't just decide this without Fuecoco agreeing to it. Freed tells Roy to stay the night and to interact with Fuecoco more to see what happens. Liko and Roy go off to look for Fuecoco, but they don't have any luck. Roy starts trying to sing Fuecoco's song, which does not impress Sprigatito. I love how it just consistently hates their attempt at singing. Roy continues to fail at finding Fuecoco, which is because the Fire Croc fell asleep in some storage container somewhere. Liko and Roy eventually decide to hang out on the wing deck, and they share a nice moment here. They may have only just met, but these two are bonding pretty quickly. It's almost like they're both going to be the protagonists going forward or something. Yeah, that would make sense. The next morning, Freed has still got to figure out what he's going to do to fix the holes in the airship. Roy suggests using the wild Pokemon on the island for some help, but before they can put that plan into action, Liko watches another Neato Thing video, this time about catching Pokemon and befriending them. And don't think I didn't notice that little allusion to Ash at the end. Science is amazing, isn't it? As they prepare to leave the airship, Freed puts Charizard and Captain Pikachu in charge, while Roy sets out some Oran berries for Fuecoco to eat, although Molly does catch him in the act. Roy takes Freed and Liko to his house, and Freed is kinda shook when he sees that Roy's grandfather is the Elder, who Freed didn't exactly get along with yesterday. Back in the Bravasagi, Fuecoco finally wakes up and finds those berries, and as soon as Molly tells Fuecoco that Roy was the one who left them there, Fuecoco rushes off to try and find Roy, even jumping off the airship to go search for Roy on the island. And now let's check back in with Roy, who is having quite the awkward meal alongside the others. They do come up with a plan though. They're going to ask the wild Pokemon to use String Shot to fix the Bravasagi. Before they can put that plan into motion, the villagers ask them to stay for lunch. Although Freed is hesitant to accept, he does agree once he sees how much of an interest Liko takes in meeting new Pokemon. Then we get a sequence of Fuecoco looking all over for Roy, culminating in this sad little guy face-planting into the sand. Off in the distance though, Fuecoco spots the explorer's submarine, and they're on the hunt for Liko and her pendant once again. Zur eventually spots the Bravasagi, and Konya wants to take it over. Amethio just bluntly rejects that offer, restating that their goal is Liko and the pendant, nothing more. They decide to head towards the airship and cause some chaos with the hopes that it will draw Liko out into the open. Meanwhile, back at Roy's place, Liko is having another one of her internal monologues as she worries about how once the airship is fixed, Roy and Fuecoco are going to have to separate once again, and she just doesn't know what to do. This thought is interrupted by Fuecoco finally finding Roy, but what is supposed to be a happy reunion instead turns into Fuecoco warning the others about the threat against the airship, so Freed runs off to the Bravasagi while Liko and Roy stay behind. The Rising Voltacklers are trying to just have a calm, peaceful moment, but Captain Pikachu spots the incoming danger. The explorers are here. I love how Orla and the others freak out, but now we've got to cut back to Roy, who is confused at why Fuecoco is hugging him so aggressively, but Liko can tell how much Fuecoco cares about Roy. Once again, a nice moment gets interrupted, this time by Roy's grandfather spotting Amethio flying towards them. Back on the beach, Zur and Konya are ready to battle, while Amethio looks on from above. Wait, I thought he was just heading straight for Liko. There's no time for that now. Freed is here to confront Amethio, and for the third time already, the two start battling, and this time it's Corviknight versus Charizard. Switching back over to Liko and Roy, who are kind of panicking, Liko is feeling especially self-conscious because she knows it's her pendant causing all of this trouble again, so she and Roy set off to try and help. Meanwhile, Zur is kind of taking it to Murdoch and Orla, so Konya decides to leave the battling to him so that she can go chase down Liko, who just so happens to be talking to all the wild Pokemon alongside Roy. Our heroes beg the wild Pokemon to help them, but they're super nervous. Like, the whole point of this scene is to just show how scared these two are, well, that and illustrate just how much taller Liko is than Roy. Sheesh. Okay, that's besides the point. Their Pokemon shake them out of it anyways, giving them their support. The wild Pokemon also have their back, but they're quickly confronted by Konya. Liko decides to take her on alone, so Roy rushes rushes off towards the airship. Orla and Murdoch go back to the airship to help Roy and the wild Pokemon, so now Molly and Chansey tag in to try and battle. Freed is impressed that Roy came in clutch, but Amethio is just angry that Freed isn't giving his full attention to their battle. The wild bug types do fix the holes in the airship, so that's good. What's not so good is Molly trying to defeat a Rhydon by having Chansey use Pound. Yeah, not the best tactic, it has to be said. Freed keeps taking his eye off the ball to make sure the others are okay, and yeah, it's clear that everyone else is kind of trash at battling compared to Freed. Fuecoco is still in awe of Freed's Charizard though, so Roy tries to channel their inner Charizard and calls for an almighty Ember attack, which predictably fails, like embarrassingly so. Liko shows up to encourage Roy. Wow, I guess she just totally floored Konya off screen. Would have loved to have seen that. Anyways, back to our heroes supporting each other, and Liko says that Roy should tell Fuecoco how he feels, and Roy's great idea is to start singing to Fuecoco, and I pretty much had the same reaction as Liko for this one. As cheesy as this was, Roy sings his heart out performing this Fuecoco fight song, and sure enough, this gets through to Fuecoco, and when Roy calls for an Ember attack one more time, Fuecoco actually unleashes a decent-sized fireball, enough to actually do some damage to Rhydon. Liko cannot believe this worked, and even now Sprigatito is ticked off about Roy's singing. Oh, I love that so much. Freed was also taken aback by what he just saw, but Amethio was tired of Freed looking away from their battle, so he rushes off on Corviknight's back, calls for a massive hurricane attack, and closes in on Liko, which is how this episode comes to an end. I feel like I keep saying the same thing every week in these episode reviews, but Pokemon Horizons is off to a great start. Episode 5 picked up right where the previous episode left off, and we just got another cliffhanger to lead directly into the next episode. I have no idea how long this continuous flow from one episode to another is going to last. It's certainly a welcome change from Pokemon Journeys though, which of course had a ton of people complaining about it being episodic. I'll save that Journeys discussion for another time though. I am still working on these videos, by the way. If YouTube wasn't just my hobby, then I actually would have had the time to prioritize finishing those videos by now, but anyways, back to this episode. It was just really solid. Not the best thing ever, but another really good episode. In fact, I'm giving this episode a 7.5 out of 10 rating. I thought it would have been really harsh for me to call this my least favorite episode of Horizon so far, and that's why I landed on a 7.5 rating, because I just couldn't rate it lower than all the other episodes. But with that said, as much as I enjoyed this episode and thought it continued the story along very nicely, it also didn't blow me away or impress me enough to get a really high rating. But that's not necessarily a bad thing. Let me be clear in saying that I still really enjoyed this episode a lot. Really, the only noticeable negative thing I picked up on while watching this episode was the confusion around what Amethio was doing. One moment he was confronting the rising Voltaclers with Zura and Konya, then he was flying off towards Liko on his own, then he was back at the beach. Wait, what? I don't know if this was just like a mistake or inconsistency, but it was a very minor error that I did notice right away. Aside from that though, no real complaints for me about this episode. We're still setting the table for what's to come in this series, and as always, I think there are so many little details that you can tell are going to turn into bigger deals later on in Horizons. I mentioned stuff like Liko and Roy bonding very quickly, or Amethio not doing anything beyond what his mission is, even the relationship between Freed and Roy's grandfather. There's something there, but we haven't fully explored that just yet. I can't wait to see how Liko and Roy develop as their main protagonists. They may just be two scared little kids right now, but they each have something special about them. I mean, Liko is already good enough to completely own Konya and her Golduck. Kinda weird that they just skated over that off screen, but whatever. She may still be the self-conscious person who isn't fully confident in her abilities, but it's clear that Liko and Sprigatito have incredible potential. What about Roy and Fuecoco though? How are you feeling about these two? I kind of summed up my thoughts earlier when I was describing this Ember scene. Although Roy's bond with Fuecoco is kind of cheesy, it's still effective. Like, I felt something watching these two try to reunite for the first half of this episode. I could tell how they're perfect for each other and how they're able to bring out the best in one another. Roy having to sing in order to bring out Fuecoco's true power is a little strange, but I guess it makes sense for that to be the gimmick with a Fuecoco. It is a singer after all, just like how Quaxley needs an entertainer or a performer to truly match it. Let me know what you thought about this episode down in the comments, and now let's look ahead at what's up next. It looks like most of the next episode is going to be dedicated to this Rising Voltaclers versus Explorers battle, which sounds really exciting to be honest. Amethio is going to be able to show off the extent of his power, but we're also going to see Liko and Roy fight back. Their pendants and Pokeball are going to react to one another, and we even see in the preview that Roy's Pokeball is going to open, so maybe there's going to be a Rayquaza sighting in our future. I guess we'll have to keep watching to find out. And really, that's what I'm loving most about Pokemon Horizons so far. I feel like I need to keep on watching each new episode, and I am genuinely excited to do so. I thought I had that feeling before, but I don't know, Horizons just has me excited about the Pokemon anime in a way that I have not felt very often lately. Just a side note, but in the next few days I'll be posting a video talking about some news regarding the canceled episodes of the Best Wishes series that were supposed to be about about Team Rocket versus Team Plasma. Yeah, that sounds like quite the throwback, but we actually got some exciting news about these episodes over a decade after they were originally meant to air. Be sure to subscribe so you don't miss that video when it comes out, and go ahead and click the like button if you haven't already. It's totally free and helps out my channel a lot. These names on screen are also helping my channel, so as always, shout out to them. Thank you all so much for watching this video, and I'll see you guys next time.